Hello guys, welcome to Investment with Level. Today we'll be looking at MTN. So MTN made a share offer to retail investors. They want to sell 575 million shares. And the offer value is 169 naira per share. So there's a sweetener here. If you hold the share for 1 year, you get one extra share for 120. You get extra share, one share for every 20 shares that you have. So we're looking at this offer to see whether it makes sense for us to take advantage and buy MTN shares. Basically, we'll be looking at two things. The first is that, is MTN a good company? Then the second one will be, is this price a good deal for us? Let's look at the revenue numbers. MTN currently is about a 1.3 trillion naira company in terms of revenue. So if you look at from 2017 to 2020, the company has a compounded annual growth rate of about 15%. Basically, this company outgrew our GDP. It outgrew our GDP per capita. Also, MTN, a profitable company, can see the profit graph of over 200 billion naira. Basically, where did this revenue come from? It came from so before we look at that, let's look at the growth rate. If you look at the revenue growth rate has remained at double digits for the past 4 years. This is very, very impressive for a company of this size. And also the number of subscribers has also been on increase. The negative here we see here is when MTN redefine how they describe users. So basically, users that don't make money for them, they're not classified as users. Then also, but one thing that is worrying here is that the growth in profits after tax, although they are profitable, but the growth in profit has been on the downward trend. We want to see this going up. Then segment growth. MTN has 3 segments: voice, data, and fintech. Basically, voice and data contribute more than 90% of their revenue. If you look at segment growth, notice that data is the one with the highest growth rates, growing at above 40%, followed by voice, which is also growing at close to double digits. Then fintech is declining. Basically, we shouldn't be worried about fintech because it contributes less than 5% of MTN revenue. Now let's look at the expenses. How well has MTN been able to manage their costs? Look at the EBITDA margin. This is going up, which is impressive. We want to see the margin going up. So this margin just basically is the earnings when you remove all costs apart from the interest, the taxes, the depreciation, and the amortization, and you divide it by revenue. We want this to be going up, and you look at the trend from 2017 to date is on an upward trend. Also for the net income margin, it's also an upward trend. So basically, MTN has done a good job in managing both her revenue and also her costs. Let's look at debt. This is very important. If many of you can remember what happened to the former Etisalat, so debt is very, very, very essential. And if it's not well managed, it can lead to problems. So first ratio we're going to look at here, debt to equity. Here, notice that basically from 2017, it's been around 2. Then 1 out 2018, then currently above below 3. Basically, like some people may think that is not really a bad thing. But if it's a bad thing when you can't really be able to manage it. Then interest coverage. Interest coverage is looking at, okay, from the money we get, after removing all our expenses, how much is this money able to cover our interest payments? That's the EBITDA. divided by the interest amount. Basically, our will make from revenue, and what MTN make from revenue can basically cover the interest cost. This is also good. So MTN has been able to manage its revenue well, manage its cost well, and also manage its debts. Then if you also look at how long will it take MTN to pay off its debts, basically MTN will pay off its debts in less than 2 years, which is very, very remarkable for a company of its size. So payoff, I mean payoff with cash is away from operations. Now let's look at cash flow. If you are familiar with finance, you know that profit is different from cash flow. In fact, a company can make losses for a very long period of time, but you'll still be in business. Why? Because they have cash. Meanwhile, you can make profit and go bankrupt if you don't have cash. First ratio look at here is cash flow to profit. If you look here, notice that MTN is making 2 times. It's making more than 2 times its profit. And also cash flow to revenue is on the upward trend. This shouldn't be surprising because most of MTN services are prepaid, meaning that customers tend to pay before they even make use of the services. Now, the last thing we look at here is valuation. Yes, we've seen that MTN is doing well in terms of revenue, is doing well in terms of cost, is doing well in terms of leverage, and also is doing well in terms of cash flow. But this price that MTN is offering the shares, is it a good buy? One thing I would like to point here is that basically this valuation is not a science, it's more of an art. And also the assumptions that I made to arrive at these numbers. So the growth rate, basically MTN is growing at about 15% over the last 4 years. So the best case is that they retain this growth rate. Then price to earning ratio has been between 12 to around 11 to 16. Then also price to cash flow has also been between 8 to 10 or 11 thereabouts. So I made a pessimistic case, a normal case, and an optimistic case. Basically, if this happens in about a year, the worst case is that MTN should be like, should sell a share of MTN sell between 8 to 100 naira. Then the best case is that MTN should sell between 145 to 160 naira. Currently, the share price of MTN is above 160 naira. Personally, I think MTN is a bit overvalued at this price. But what I'd like to point out is that if you are looking at making a long-term investment, basically to hold MTN shares for like 5 to 10 years, then this valuation shouldn't make much difference to you, because buying a share, a stock that has the potential to 2x or 3x in that period of time at a 20% premium may not really mean much. But if you are looking at just maybe 12 months, 18 months, then you really have to pay attention to this. So basically, this is all I have about MTN. Kindly subscribe, share, like, and comment on this video. If you love investments and want to make your money to work for you. The next company that I'll be looking at on this channel is Chevron. See you then. Bye.